Tonight's gospel reading comes out of the 18th chapter of Matthew, verses 15 to 20. Now, this gospel reading has one verse, which is verse 15, that I think is a very important verse. That if you want to hold on to relationships you have in your life, you do not want to destroy in a relationship. You don't want to destroy a relationship with your brother, sister, mother, father, or parent, or friend. You want to live this one verse. It is so important. Let's take a look at that verse. This is the only verse we're going to look at tonight. Jesus said to his disciples, the word disciple means follower, so he's talking to all of us tonight. If your brother sins against you, go and tell him his fault and keep it between you and him alone. That is absolutely powerful. That gospel verse should be a verse that you should type out and put on your medicine cabinet so when you're getting ready in the morning, you read it, how you should live. That should be the type of verse that's on a coffee mug. So you read it every so often. I'm going to read it to you again because I think this verse, if you live it, it means a lot. If your brother sins against you, go and tell him his fault. Keep it between you and him alone. That is such a difficult thing to do nowadays with all these forms of social media. And when you put a post on social media about what someone said to you or how they hurt your feelings, then everyone knows about it. It's difficult to get Pandora back in a box. I remember back when I was a young fella in college, actually studying to be a high school history teacher. I was dating this gal. She was great. We had a really good thing going between us. But I had one big flaw back then, back in my dating life. I had a tendency to be possessive. And when you're possessive, you're going to be jealous. And when that jealousy loses itself and spews out of you, the jealousy, you're usually going to wind up saying something you didn't mean to say. This one day I'm riding along and I looked over in this parking lot and I saw my girlfriend's car in a parking lot, and she's outside of her car and she's talking to this fella. She's having what appears to be a very lively and animated conversation. I saw stars. I couldn't get my car turned around fast enough and I doubled back. Now, when I got back, fortunately, he was gone. I was glad he was gone because he was massive. I thought about taking him on as I'm turning the car around, but he was just too big. So fortunately for me, he left. And I pulled up alongside of her and got out of my car. We're having a conversation. I was giving her the third degree about the fella she was talking with, and I wasn't buying anything that she had to say, although she was telling me the truth. And then I went out and said something. My jealousy just allowed me to say something that wasn't very sweet at all. And after I said it, I got in the car and I drove off. Instantly, I knew, Kenny, that was a huge mistake. I'm driving around for about an hour, and I decided to drive over to her house. I got to her house, and I walked up on the porch and rang the doorbell, and she came out. And I said to her, I'm really, really sorry about what I said. And she said, I forgave you the second you said it. I said, you did? Oh, Kenny, I know how you are. You're a nut. Yeah, I forgot what you said. And then she said to me, she said, would you like to come in? My mom just happened to be making your favorite meal, which is meatballs and spaghetti. You want to come in to have meatballs and spaghetti? Well, her mom made great meatballs and spaghetti. I ate there a lot. Matter of fact, that's why I think I went with her, because her mother was such a great cook. But I said to her, well, I can't go in. Why not? You spent many evenings with my family. Well, I need to know the answer to one question before I go into your house, because I'm embarrassed. When you got home, did you tell your parents what I said? And you know what her answer was? No. No, she did not. Right there. I don't know if she realized the scripture text, but she was living it right there. Keep it between you and him alone. She did not tell her parents. And then I said to her, oh, that's a great relief. I mean, that to me, the world was on my shoulders. I thought if she tells her parents, I'll never be able to face them again. And then she was a great gal, and she had this vivacious personality. She had a million girlfriends. And I said to her, did you tell your girlfriends? And she said, no. What a relief. And then I looked at her and said, you know, I am really hungry for some meatballs and spaghetti. Let's go in. And when I first read tonight's gospel reading, I thought to myself, that is very important. If you ever had that done to you, where you said something to someone, did something to someone that you were instantly regretted it. And if they decided to put it on Twitter and Facebook, now, maybe that would have been much different if those things existed all those years ago. Maybe she would have decided in her anger, but she forgave me instantly because she claimed I was a nut. Maybe she would have did that. During Unreal, what I discovered, because she knew I was still agitated, it turned out to be that the fellow she was talking to and with was a carpenter. And she knew I enjoyed hunting and I had a few guns, and she was having him, because it was getting close to Christmas and my birthday, she was hiring him to make me a customized gun cabinet. And when she told me that, I felt that big. But then when she said she didn't say anything, I felt normal size, because she lived it. How important that is. I have so many people come into my office nowadays and they are hurt. And I'll say to them, what's going on? And they will tell me that, I had words with a friend of mine. And bottom line is this. When you're close to someone, whether it be a family member or friend, you're bound to have words. It's just the nature of life. You're going to say something that you want to say, you meant to say when you said it, and instantly you didn't mean to say it after it came out. And they'll tell me I had words, I said something to a friend of mine, and then they posted it on Twitter. They put it on Facebook. And when you do that, it's over. Because the person who initially said that which was wrong, you decided to post it, now they realize my embarrassment will never stop. Because so many people now know it. It's a gift. When someone decides to take what you said to them, if it wasn't sweet, and just say to themselves, it's not the end of the world. When I was a little boy growing up, they used to say the sticks and stones will break my bones, but names will never hurt me. I actually believe sometimes in my life that's a saying that we should all get back to as adults. Because as adults, we respond to sticks and stones will break my bones and names will never hurt me, but we respond to the names that will never hurt me. And we put things in retaliation against what someone said. And we make a difficult situation only worse. We amplify what it should have remained at low volume. I'm going to leave you with that verse. I think that verse is absolutely important in our lives. If you want to hold on to your relationships and not destroy relationships, that's an important verse. It says this. If your brother sins against you, go and tell him his fault. Keep it between you and him alone. Your brother hurt you, you walk up to him and say, look, I don't like what you did. And you talk about it. Because eventually they're going to say to you, I really apologize, but did you tell anyone? And if you say no, they're going to drop to their knees with a big thank you. And if you say you did, your relationship with that person probably now over. Verse 8, verse 15, 18th chapter of Matthew. It's an essential verse in relationship building. If your brother sins against you, go and tell him his fault, but keep it between you and him alone.